Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Morning, everybody. How's it going? Wednesday afternoon, hump day once again. We're back here at the home studio. Things continue to chug along. We'll be back in studio tomorrow. We'll have everything put back together. But like we've talked about here the last few days and even last week, we're getting everything pulled together at the studio before seasons get going. Broncos are back on the field today after 2 days off, Monday, Tuesday off. They will host the Green Bay Packers this Friday for a joint practice. As we get closer and closer to the start of that regular season, we want to make sure everything about the studio is dialed in, ready to go for everything. It's going to be a crazy season around the Guerilla Studios offices, and we're just super excited. We're super excited for everything that we've got coming up, the upgrades being made to the studio. I'm looking forward to all of it. Got Jay running things for us today, and I'm heading over to Twitter to make sure that everyone knows we are here and hanging out. By the way, this is a total side note, way off the board here. The McDonald's app. And I know there's probably a lot of people who roll their eyes at the fact that I even eat McDonald's. I eat McDonald's because their app is so good. They used to give away, and that's the whole point of this, free fries every day if you spent $1. Any size fries for $1. Or if you spent $1, they gave you fries for free. So it was great. Then they changed it to $2, which was like, whatever, but that's still a pretty good deal. Now it's just gone, and I'm disappointed. And I got a McDonald's app notification while I was retweeting that, and that's what made me think of it. Let's get into what we're talking about today. We got Chicago Bears, HBO Max, some issues last night with the premiere of Hard Knocks. We're going to talk about an issue with DraftKings that led to a similar result as what HBO Max was experiencing last night. More heartbreak for the Minnesota Vikings. And no, I'm not talking about an arrest this time. I know with almost 60 arrests in the last 24 years, you think that's maybe what I'm talking about with the Minnesota Vikings, but not the case here today. A legend, an on-air legend in the NHL is putting the microphone away and retiring after this season. We'll talk about that. And the NHL is entering uncharted territory in terms of their team's valuations. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going through a sale process and some big news for them and the NHL with that valuation coming back in yesterday. We'll talk about all that, but we're going to kick things off with the Chicago Bears. Their fans, you broke it. You broke HBO Max. The most viewed Hard Knocks premiere in the last 5 years, the Chicago Bears and first overall pick Caleb Williams took center stage last night, and the excitement and the hype was so big. There were so many people waiting to tune in that the show actually ended up coming online live more than an hour after it was supposed to, with a lot of reports that people were saying in the moment that HBO couldn't get their shit together. What's going on here? Well, as it turns out, it looks like there was maybe such an influx of users trying to log on and use HBO Max to watch the first episode of Hard Knocks that it caused some problems in terms of that episode being able to go live. Again, it was the most viewed Hard Knocks premiere in the last 5 years. I love that the NFL, and I mean, look, they've been doing Hard Knocks for a while now. But I remember it felt very niche for a long time. It felt very, it was hard to watch, in terms of it was hard to find. It was really kind of which teams would agree to it. It was never super. It was interesting, of course. That's why it's gained the popularity, but it just didn't have, I feel like, that broad appeal. The NFL and HBO have done a fantastic job, I think, kind of getting over that hurdle. It's more accessible than ever, and they're doing it in a way where every season now it's building a lot of hype around who they're going to pick. you guys have probably heard me talk about if you follow me, the fact that the NFL, they do such a great job because they have taken a sports league and they've turned it into an entertainment business. Everything is a spectacle. Everything, is a full blown event, must see TV, a 5-hour block, whatever. The NFL seems to do that with everything. And it looks like they've done it again with Hard Knocks, this time around. They've built the hype for it, picked a great team given the city they're in and the fan base that the Chicago Bears have. I know a few Chicago Bears fans, one in particular. Big shout out to my guy Jeff, maybe the most diehard sports fan I've ever met. But as soon as I saw this announced, I texted him right away. Super excited. I think this is a fan base that deserves it, not unlike Buffalo Sabres fans in the NHL. Such a passionate football fan base, a fan base that just wants to see their team be successful. And they've just been, I was going to say stuck in mediocrity, but not even mediocre. Like the Bears have been brutal for a long time now. So it's exciting to see them with Caleb Williams and some hope and some optimism, especially after the way that he's looked through these first couple of weeks. I haven't watched the full episode myself, but there was a lot of very positive commentary and reaction to what people saw of Caleb Williams behind the scenes. And I'm pulling for the Bears this year. And I know not a lot of people have a ton of sympathy for Chicago sports fans and Chicago teams. But like I said, I got a really good friend of mine who's a big Bears fan. And I know what he's been through. And I think, Caleb Williams took a lot of heat last year for stuff off the field. And what's so funny is I didn't feel like none of it was bad stuff, but there was the video that went viral of him after a loss going up to his parents in the stands, and he was sitting there and he was crying with his parents over he lost a big game. And there was people that looked at that as emotionally weak, fragile, as where I feel like there was a whole other side of people. And I think it was the correct take that this is someone who cares very deeply and is still, a young kid. We forget that about, Caleb Williams is now a rookie in the NFL, but at the time a college player, these are still kids and they're still learning and growing and going through heartbreak, for the first time, especially on a stage like that. I think he's an interesting individual, and I'm anxious to get to know him a little bit through Hard Knocks beyond just what you see every Sunday, because I think he's going to be thrust into a situation where there's a lot of pressure from the fan base to perform, maybe not immediately, but you were the first overall pick. We haven't had a quarterback in forever. We expect you to kind of, be the savior. How does he handle that? And again, I wasn't one of the ones logging on last night that caused the servers to go down, but I get why. I understand why this version of Hard Knocks has so much appeal beyond just what is already a massive fan base in Chicago for the Bears. When I saw all of this unfolding live last night, Twitter and Instagram and TikTok kind of blowing up with what's going on. Where's the show? You're late. What happened? This was supposed to be up over an hour ago, blah, 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 blah. I was laughing because I said that adds up to me. That probably is the level of hype and excitement that this version of Hard Knocks has around them. And, the NFL and HBO are sitting there laughing, smacking high fives because as they were going through all their different potential candidates, one of which was the Denver Broncos, before ultimately landing on the Bears, they're probably sitting there like, okay, we made the right call. I'll be tuning in, as Hard Knocks rolls on, heading into the season. I think they do a great job. The NHL used to do something with HBO called Road 2. They selected different marquee events, Winter Classics, outdoor games, games overseas, things like that. And I always thought it was fantastic. Hard Knocks kind of sets the standard for all of that. So hopefully future episodes get out on time, but it was that popular of an episode, largest premiere in the last 5 years. And it showed in that the servers couldn't handle the amount of people getting on to see what was going on with the Chicago Bears since the draft. We'll be watching that one as it unfolds. Let's stick with the NFL here. The Minnesota Vikings, JJ McCarthy. Oh boy. 10th overall pick this past year, coming off a national championship with the University of Michigan. Again, not unlike the Bears, looking at this as a real reason for optimism, especially given what the Bears have gone through in the last few years with starting quarterbacks. So let's just kind of take a step back here. This is JJ McCarthy has torn his meniscus here in preseason, in the preseason opener, and he will be sidelined. Here, the hard part about it is right now the timelines, and we're gonna get into what is gonna make this up a little bit. The timelines are anywhere from 4 weeks, nice, not bad, barely gonna miss any regular season time, up to about 5 months, which puts us into the new year or pretty close. It sounds like he's the official statement from the Vikings is that he's going to, quote, be okay. He's going to be okay. He's going to get it fixed. And really, it sounds like the difference between the best case scenario and the worst case scenario is really just timeline, not so much his ability to heal or how healthy he will get. It sounds like this is something that's going to be fully repairable. He's going to be fine. But it's a matter of what kind of surgery is needed, how long's the rehab for that type of stuff. So this is, with JJ McCarthy tearing his meniscus, this is the 4th time since 2016 that the Minnesota Vikings have had their starting quarterback go down with a larger lower body injury. In each situation, and again, benefit of hindsight, right? We can look back on these and say, well, you really probably didn't miss out on much. But each one of these was coming off of performances that were very inspiring for the Minnesota Vikings, who, again, football suffers from the same product that we see in the NHL at different stages. The NHL went on a run of drafts where in about 5 out of 7 drafts in the 2010s, the players at the very top going first overall, second overall, depending on which draft, were not necessarily generational, because you can't fully say that if you have that many, but they were elite, high end, bordering on generational players with a few generational players sprinkled in there. Ones that only come along once every 25, 30 years. And they were kind of this big injection of the next wave of elite talent into the league. And it kind of set this precedent in the NHL of, okay, well, every first overall pick is elite, generational, can change a franchise. And that's just not the case, right? Most first overall picks, you hope, turn into quality, high end, bordering on elite level players. But that's just not going to be the case every year. I feel like the NFL has that same problem with quarterbacks. There was kind of this golden age of quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, all in the NFL at the same time. And I know I'm missing a few there. I know, but all in the NFL at the same time. And it kind of became this thing of, well, you need an elite quarterback to compete. And so your starting quarterback has to be an elite quarterback. And that's just not the case. So, but the point is, all of these injuries for Vikings quarterbacks have come right on the heels of Vikings fans and the Vikings organization being able to say, ooh, do we have an elite quarterback on our hands? Teddy Bridgewater had a breakout year and was looking forward to another one. Just absolutely tore up his lower body and his leg. Sam Bradford started to look like a starter, coming off maybe one of the best games of his career, blows his knee out. Kirk Cousins has an MVP-like season. He tears his Achilles. Now this with JJ McCarthy after such a strong preseason opener, 10th overall, just won a national championship with Michigan. Again, not all unlike what's happening here with Bo Nix. Reasons for optimism with the Denver Broncos and their fans after a strong performance for Bo Nix coming off a strong college performance. Reason for fans to feel like, yeah, that Bo Nix might be our guy. Same thing happening. You see the strong performance from, imagine if you're a Broncos fan, all the commentary around Bo Nix coming off the draft. Can he do it? There's other guys here. Can he beat him out? What's going to happen? We think this guy can be the future. Does he need a stopgap? Can he jump right in? He comes out, has the performance that he had in the preseason opener. Imagine all the hype, everyone getting excited. And then to have him hit an injury like this that just, let's even say it's best case scenario and he's back in just a few weeks. How does this mess up his progressions? How does this mess up how he prepares for the season? All of that would be the conversation this week. Instead, the conversation has been around how great Bo Nix was. And Bo Nix might be the starter. They might have found their guy. This might be done. Instead, imagine if that commentary was all about the injury. Well, that's what's happening in Minnesota right now with JJ McCarthy. Strong performance, looking like this might be the guy. We found it. We're fixed. We're going forward. He's young. He's exciting. And now all the conversation is around, well, what does this do for his development? How long is he going to be out? And again, that range is anywhere from, if it's a minor clean out surgery, you're looking at 3 to 5 weeks. Get off the knee, stay away from hard contact. But in about a month, you should be good to go to start getting back up to speed. In about a month and a half, you should be good to go to get back into games. If it's something larger than that and it's a full tear and they're having to go in and do, reconstructive surgery, again, it's going to be a healthy knee. It's not at risk of getting hurt again necessarily, but that you're looking at closer to the end of the 2024 calendar year and possibly beyond. That's basically the entire rookie season. That's almost a wasted year. That's the concern here with JJ McCarthy. So I'm sure we'll have more news on this either before the weekend or immediately coming out of it, but this will definitely be a big one to keep an eye on. Minnesota Vikings in a similar situation as the Denver Broncos really, really were looking to JJ McCarthy to come in and just be a reset on the organization. We'll keep an eye on this one. Shifting away from the NFL, let's talk DraftKings and bets and the oopsie poopsie that DraftKings had yesterday. A controversial finish over the weekend. And I want to make sure I get the name right. And I didn't put it down in my notes what the event was. There was a golf tournament this weekend. And I apologize. This is bad. This is bad on me. I took all my notes and I'm just realizing as I'm going through them, didn't write down what the event was that everyone was freaked out about. Dead heat reduction. Dead heat reduction, is that right? Doesn't matter. There was a golf event this weekend, and there was a controversial finish. Two or more players tied for the same winning, your bet was settled using dead heat reduction rules. That's what the email said. So if you were someone who bet on the golf tournament this weekend, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The issue is they didn't just send it to users who had placed a bet. This email was accidentally blasted out to tens of thousands of DraftKings users, causing a flood of users to log on and say, what are you talking about? I didn't place a bet. Some assuming that it was a scam, some assuming that it was their account being hacked. And given that certain DraftKings accounts, depending on how you set them up, could have access to your bank account, to a credit card, things like that, people freaked out. And upon getting this email, it led to a flood of users logging into DraftKings to see what the hell was going on, whether they had placed a bet to see if they had won, or if they hadn't placed a bet to figure out, why am I getting this email? And the influx of users all at once following the email just like HBO Max, caused DraftKings and their app and their servers to crash, which of course led to more panic as people couldn't get in. And it then started leading to more questions of what's going on. People taking to Twitter, people taking to social media, just in general, trying to get a hold of DraftKings saying, what is happening? I didn't place a bet on golf for this weekend. It was at that point the DraftKings realized what was going on, sent out a follow-up email as well as multiple social media posts saying, hey, our bad. If you got that email, just disregard, which again caused more, not necessarily uproar, but just more confusion, because there were plenty of users who did place a bet and that email was pertinent to. So it was just kind of a fumble all around for DraftKings, trying to get out ahead and say, hey, if you're confused by the results of this outcome, here's how we decided how to do it. Here's how we decided who was paid out. Trying to get ahead of what they knew could have been a little bit controversial, and it ended up leading to a much, much, much bigger mess than they ever intended. Their servers are back up and running. Everything is all a go for DraftKings for any of the bets you're looking to place today. There's not a ton to bet on today, but yeah, they caused a bit of a scare for a lot of folks out there, and it caused their app to come crashing down temporarily. Let's talk NHL to round out this Wednesday. The New York Rangers and Sam Rosen, after 40 years as the New York Rangers play-by-play voice, Sam Rosen will be retiring after the 2024-2025 season. Like I said, this upcoming year, his last year, will be his 40th with the New York Rangers. There's been a lot of fans since this announcement came out today yesterday, calling for banners to be raised inside Madison Square Garden for Rosen to be put and to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. 40 years as a play-by-play. And I'll tell you guys right now, I don't watch New York Ranger games regularly on their broadcasts. I always love Rangers highlights, anything that Sam Rosen has done. I think he's one of the best in this business, hockey or otherwise. The way that he conveys his passion and the passion of what's going on inside of the building to get it to come through the screen, I think is special. There are not a lot of play-by-play jobs in professional sports when you truthfully, add it up. Right? You're talking about roughly 32 teams per league here in North America, 4 leagues. There's not a lot of them. And there's even fewer of them on a stage and in a market as large as New York with the Rangers. And for Sam Rosen to be an entire voice, the voice of an entire generation of Rangers fans, an original 6 organization, an original 6 franchise. I think I'm with everybody. I don't necessarily know if it's Hockey Hall of Fame worthy, but I think it would be great to see him honored inside Madison Square Garden. He's called a lot of great moments for this Rangers team, and truthfully, I'm bummed to see him go. I'm reaching the age in my life. And I'm not old, right? I'm 32. I'm not an old guy. But I'm reaching the age of my life where we're seeing, people that I've grown up with in sports, whether it be players or people that are around these games, starting to retire. And it's a bummer, right? Because you grow up and you talk to your parents, you talk to your grandparents about sports that they watched, players that they, grew up with. And again, play-by-play and announcers and color commentators and things like that. And they, they talk about it all in past tense. Oh yeah, he was great. Oh, she was this. Oh, she did that. Or, down on the sidelines, and he was there. And oh, he would interview the coaches between whatever, and you sit there and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But oh man, I love these guys now. And now I'm starting to get to that stage. LeBron James near the end of his career, Alex Ovechkin near the end of his career, Sidney Crosby near the end of his career. Tom Brady retired. You're just having all these individuals who were icons growing up for our generation starting to turn the page, enter retirement, new voices, new athletes, new people are coming in, and same things happening here for the New York Rangers and MSG. But one last year with Sam Rosen on the call. I know it's probably going to be an emotional year. Every time they go into a new, they go to a building for the last time, it'll be his last time calling a game there, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be a bit of a farewell tour for Sam Rosen this year, but congratulations to Sam Rosen. One final year, 40 years in the booth, and then hanging it up, truly one of the greats to ever do it for the NHL. Rounding things out today, we are sticking with hockey. We're sticking Eastern Conference, and we're kind of going New York Rangers south. The Tampa Bay Lightning are in the process of going through a, quote, multi-step process of completing a sale. And yesterday, the valuation came in. The club was being was getting a valuation as part of this multi-step process, and it came in just a hair under $2 billion, which is massive for the NHL. If this sale completes at near that price or right around the valuation price, that would be almost just shy of double the NHL record sale price for one of its organizations, which again was right at $1 billion. The NHL continues to gain market share. The viewership is continuing to tick up steadily as they embrace streaming, as well as their new broadcast deals with ESPN and TNT that have now, we're multiple years into this deal going away from NBCSN. They continue to collect market share. The value of the organizations continues to grow. You've got multiple owners lining up, ready to pay an expansion fee to bring teams to all kinds of new cities. A $2 billion sale or close to a $2 billion sale would be massive for the NHL. And obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are the ones doing this. A lot of success for the Lightning recently, multiple Stanley Cups, and even more trips to the Stanley Cup final. But at the same time, this is still an NHL team that is based in Florida, where a lot of people say hockey, a lot of people whose opinions are wrong. Hockey shouldn't be in warm weather climates. Those aren't hockey cities. Tampa Bay continues to prove over and over and over that not only is Florida a hockey state, with now 3 of the last 5 Stanley Cup champions coming from the state of Florida. I wanted to say 2 and 4, but geez, time goes so quickly. 3 of the last 5 Stanley Cup champions coming from Florida. Big name free agents continue to be attracted there, and now they are on the precipice of having the highest total sales figure in NHL history, coming in, like I said, just shy of $2 billion. Once this sale gets across the finish line, we will see where that ends up. But exciting stuff for the Tampa Bay Lightning and the National Hockey League. That's going to do it. Guerilla Sports Daily Wednesday morning here. We had Jay running things on the board today. I've been here at home. We'll be back in the studio for everything starting tomorrow. Broncos getting ready, gearing up. We will be out at practice on Friday for that joint practice, bringing you guys all kinds of coverage from there. Should be great. Also, look for new content we've got coming out, I believe today, possibly tomorrow. Broncos invited a bunch of members of the media, including Guerilla Sports, to come see all of the new food items being made available at Empower Field at Mile High this year, as well as the new suites, as well as new upgrades being made all over the stadium. So we'll have a video of everything that we saw yesterday down at Empower Field. For Jay, I'm Jesse Montaño. This is Guerilla Sports Daily. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, guys, from the Guerilla Sports studios. Thanks so much. Have a great day. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.